Welcome to our free IELTS speaking class of this week. I would like to say a warm welcome to you all and to mention that today we will be focusing, as the title says, on some speaking. So first of all, I will present a little bit how the IELTS speaking section works, what you should do, what are the main tips for each part, because we have 3 parts, right? And then, of course, we'll have some practice on speaking parts 2 and 3, because part 1 is just, we will see pretty soon, the easiest with the easiest types of question. So yeah, that's about it. Let's try to continue. I will now share my screen, and you will be able to see what I prepared for today about the speaking. Okay, let's see. Right, so you should be able to see. Correct? Am I correct? You should be able to see my screen right now. Is that
yes.
Is that correct? Yes. Okay, lovely. So let's see who here is familiarized with the speaking. I know for sure Andrea is. Elena, how familiarized are you with the speaking of the IELTS?
Oh, I would say I'm quite familiarized. We've done this several times here.
Okay, and have you ever done it officially at the exam?
No, not yet. It's my first time taking the exam
Okay, so
this
not at the
month.
exam, but yes, in class. Good. That's still really important practice. Okay, lovely. So again, I'll just present this, even though you may be familiarized with this, for everyone that is watching us right now, because not everyone is familiarized. Some are still debating on whether to choose the IELTS or the OET for what they need. Some are planning on starting the preparation but haven't yet, or have but they're just at the beginning, so they're not very familiarized with this. So okay, as you know, right, the speaking has three tasks, right? 3 parts, we can say, and the whole speaking will last between 11-15 minutes, right? So it's not that long. This is the whole time, right, that you will speak for. So part 1 will be just a brief introduction and a short interview for 5 minutes, but again, here the questions are really easy. Part 2 will represent, it's called individual long turn, which means that you will be asked to speak about a certain topic, and everything will last for 3-4 minutes, but you are given 1 minute to read it and 1-2 minutes to talk about it. Okay. And part 3 is the most difficult because it represents what is called a two-way discussion, although the evaluator will not really discuss with you. They'll just ask you questions, you will answer, they will say, and then continue with the next question. Okay, so this again will last for 5 minutes. Of course, here they want to check that you are able to express your preference, justify your opinion, summarize what happened to you, relate some personal experiences, and so on and so forth. Okay. You only have 1 examiner there with you, and they will be recording you and asking all the questions. Okay, just 1 moment. I would like to say hi to Anna, who has just joined.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so we are just describing quickly the speaking. Okay, I know you are aware with this, but not everyone is that is watching us. Okay, maybe this we are not so sure of about the criteria that are used for the speaking. So the first criterion taken into account is fluency and coherence. This means how fluent you are, so how good is your speech flow. You know, in class, I always mention, no, your speech flow should be improved, or you have a very good speech flow, which means how fluent you speak. Okay, and then coherence is, does what you say make sense, right? Is it logical? what you're saying, okay? Of course, you are allowed to have the natural pauses and the natural hesitations in speech that we all have, even me now when speaking, right? That this is perfectly natural, but not to have too long breaks or too many of them, yeah? The second criterion that they take into account is the lexical resource. This is just a very fancy way of saying vocabulary. Okay, the vocabulary that you use, like, again, I always tell you in class, no, good, everything all right, but you need a more academic vocabulary, so to speak, no, not so general classical vocabulary. Okay, of course, we are talking about us here and probably those watching, because we need to get a 7, right? So for a 7, this is what I'm saying is valid for a 7. If you only need a 6.5 or a 6, then of course the criterion are let's say less strict. Okay, then we have grammatical range and accuracy. This means grammar. Okay, grammar and how well you structure your sentences. Yes. And of course, grammatical range. So it means not only correct grammar, but also to try to use as many types of different structures as possible, you know, not to start all of our sentences with subject verb, not to start some with an adverb, like unfortunately, or just to use some passive, to use some would, or do you understand? So this is the range, okay, how much variety we have in our speech. And then, of course, the criterion is pronunciation. Well, this is, of course, understandable that they want to check your pronunciation. You shouldn't worry, however, if you do not speak as a native speaker. The important aspect is not to make pronunciation mistakes that will determine them not to understand you, or that will, so that your word sounds like another word, okay? And here, of course, we include intonation, to have a nice intonation, but this, I think there's no problem with that, okay? And that's it. Of course, we get a band from 1 to 9, but fortunately, we only need a 7, right? So we don't need to be perfect. We don't need to be a 9. We don't even need to be an 8 or a 7.5, just a 7, okay? Part 1, as we know, is the easiest. It's just, you are asked very basic questions from a set of predetermined questions, so to speak, such as, where do you come from? Tell me about your family. Is there anything you like or you don't like about your job? Okay, so quite the typical questions, right? What kind of food do you like? Okay. How should we?
Can I just quickly ask something?
Yes,
Sorry to
yes,
interrupt.
always.
When
Yes?
they because I've just seen this question
Yes.
quite often. When they ask about your hometown,
Yeah.
do we have to refer on our natal town, or it doesn't matter for them, or?
Yes, it matters a little bit from the point of view or logic, because they know that you are not born there, correct? They have all your information, right? So when they ask about the hometown, yes, you need to refer to your birth town from Romania in our case, or anyone's birth town. Yes. Okay,
Thank you.
No worries. Always interrupt me if you have anything, because you know I tend to speak.
Thank you, I will.
Okay, so how to do part 1 correctly? Be very careful. I mean, pay attention to what you're being asked, because you might just treat it lightly because, oh yeah, it's part 1, it's easy. Yes, but be careful what they're asking, okay? Then try to give full answers as possible, like your question, Anna. No? If they ask me about my hometown, don't just say Bucharest. Just say a little bit. No, I was born in Bucharest, which is the capital of, or which is a very large city. Okay, that's it. However, don't give too long answers either, because this is just part 1. It's not part 3. Okay, so you don't need to make it too specific. Okay, just not to have one answer to 1 word or 2 words answers. That's not okay. Yeah. Okay, a good example would be, do you like reading? Yes, I do, but I don't get much time to read. Very good. Okay, perfect answer from the point of view of time. Yeah, length. And of course, here to be able to prepare, you can just make a quick list of possible topics that you can be interviewed on: your home, your country, your job, interests, okay, preferences, family, etc. Okay, very basic. Right. You can just here write some questions about that and try to answer them, because again, these are predetermined questions. There's not really much that can surprise you here, right? They are from the general topics. And think about some language that can be useful. How to express your likes or dislikes besides the classical I like. No, I prefer, I enjoy, I love, right? What makes me, I don't know, how is this? Yeah. Try to think of some linkers also, no? Even though, like we had here, even though I don't get much time to read, I think it was. But, yeah, it's same idea. Okay, and well, that's it. So far, so good. Okay, and of course, always take into account the tenses, even here. Okay, if they ask you about where you were born, you need to use past. No, I was born in. If they ask you about something you like now, we will use present, obviously, right? This, I believe this everybody already knows. Very good. We can now continue to part 2, which is the one that already gets a little bit more complicated. Am I right? So here you will be asked to speak for 1-2 minutes, I know, but as we always say here in the Academy, it's preferred to speak for, 1.5, 2 minutes, not just one, because otherwise they might just ask you some extra questions about that topic if they consider your answer is not long enough. So we want to avoid that, because you never know what questions that they may have and they block you. You don't know what to answer. No? So it's better if you just say your idea and they say, okay, 2 minutes have passed. Thank you. Yeah. Don't worry if they say this, by the way, it's good. It's not a problem if they stop you and you haven't finished. Okay, that's not a problem. And again, topics here are general, but they're more specific than in part 1. So like, describe a restaurant you enjoy eating in. You have to say where this is, what kind of menu it has, what other features you have there, if there's music, etc. Right? And of course, why you like, why you enjoy, why you choose to eat there. Okay, these are just cues. Like I always tell you, you need to expand this, because if you only answer this punctually, you will be done in 30-40 seconds, right? But you need to expand them a little bit. So add some details, or add details that are not here. You mention who you go with or how often, even if it's not specifically mentioned. Yeah, they don't want you to say only what is here. They want you to be able to speak about a topic, right? To see your fluency, to check whatever we mentioned earlier, the criteria. Okay, pronunciation, etc. How to do part 2 correctly? Again, read it carefully to see what they want from you, because I've had students that over the time they read it superficially and they gave the wrong answer. For example, the task asked them to, I don't know, mention a present that they would like to receive, and they mentioned the present that they received. It's a slight difference, but the evaluator will notice, and they will penalize you because it's marked as not understanding the topic well. Correct? So make sure you take your time to read it and use the 1 minute they give you to write down some main ideas, some vocabulary, if it helps, maybe just an adjective or a word or an expression. Okay, whatever helps you. Okay, whatever feel this is subjective. This depends on you personally, but always try to write some ideas, because if you get lost, you can look at it and say, oh, okay, now I say this. Yeah, so you have some key points. Okay, make sure you answer both parts. By both parts, I mean the description. Okay, this is the description, and this one is the explanation. Always at the end, you will have this: explain, ta-ta-ta, yeah, or mention, ta-ta-ta. Okay, if possible, organize your talk by following the order on the card, so they see that you also have good organization. But again, in between, you can add details, or yes, but go into that order. So for example, you don't start with why you go there and at the end you describe it, the restaurant, no? Vice versa. It's just a logical order, nothing, yeah. You can, of course, look at your notes. You can look at them, not read, nah, but you can look at them, yeah. And make sure you use examples from your own life. But here I always give you this tip: if you do not have examples from your own life in that particular matter, you can't think of any restaurant or of any movie, you just either invent, but this is not, it depends, because when you invent, you might lose it. You might block at one point, or better, just take somebody else's idea, somebody else's experience that they told you about, no? or friend or an acquaintance, and make it your own. You say that you like that, or you go there. Okay. The evaluators do not care about the veracity, the truth of what you're saying. They care about you speaking fluently. And of course, try to make your sentences not long, but like not short. Okay. Try to add some connectors there. However, although, okay, etc. Of course, it depends on the topic, but don't make breaks that are too long. So don't hesitate for too long, and just try to relax. Try to imagine that you were talking to a friend that asked you about this. I'm really curious about you. No, for example, Anna, tell me what's your favorite restaurant. No? And you try to think, okay, so I'm not here with an evaluator. I'm here with a friend, and I'm giving them details about this, right? Because in the end, the evaluator is only doing their job, and you are only doing yours. You want to pass the exam, right? So they're not there to torture you, whatever. They're just there to do their job. So try to not be very, very stressed about this. They've seen this 100 times, and you've done this 100 times in class also. So, okay. And of course, here preparation would include making a checklist after you record yourself speaking. So that's very good to record yourself speaking, or of course, what we do during classes, and make a checklist to correct yourself. Did I cover all the points on the task? Did I give enough details, elaborate? No, did I use enough varied vocabulary, etc., etc. Okay, I'm talking about self-preparation now. Of course, in class, I already do this for you. Yeah, but for self-preparation, extra preparation, this is what you can do, and it's very useful. Okay. And part 3, finally, as we know, the most difficult. You will be asked about some more abstract topics. Okay, so this will not be about your experience as much as it will be about, tell me what you think about, or how would you compare, la la la. What do you think? Okay, so it is your opinion, of course, but not your experience, just abstract. Okay. And here you need to be able to justify your opinion, to give arguments for your opinion, just like in an essay, but of course in speech, not in writing, and in a very shortened type of way. Okay, and one thing you should know, I don't know if you have, if you remember this from when I mentioned during class, that the questions increase in difficulty in part 3. Okay, so the first question you are asked is the easiest, the last one will be the most difficult. This is not meant to scare you. I'm just saying, expect it to be worse. So if, for example, the first question you thought it was difficult, expect it to get worse. Okay, this is just so you know what you expect. Okay, how to do it? Don't be afraid to say your opinion, because there are no right or wrong answers, guys. Here, it's your opinion. You can't be wrong, you can't be right. It's just your opinion. As long as you provide arguments for it, it's perfectly fine. Okay, so the evaluator will not assess your opinion. They will assess just how you express it. Yeah. Of course, here it's good to give extended answers, so not just as I tell you, 3-4 shorter sentences, or 2-3 longer ones, right? Longer sentences in speech, I mean. Yeah, that would be the ideal answer for a question here, and you will have approximately 4 or 5 questions. Okay. How to prepare about this part? Here, you need to think of more abstract issues that you might be asked, not just the general topics, okay? Such as the qualities of being a good teacher. What is more important, qualification or experience when choosing a job? Online courses or face-to-face, right? So more abstract, right? It's nothing we haven't seen, but it's good to be prepared. Here, what could really help with the vocabulary and everything is to read some English texts, especially those that you can find online, just articles, not in BBC or wherever you want, but make it official English texts on different topics. Yeah. This will really help you with vocabulary again. Of course, also listening or watching movies. Yes, everything helps. I agree. I myself have learned a lot of expressions and words from movies, from series. So perfectly fine. Yeah. And of course, it's good to think of some language that helps you to compare. no, by contrast, da, 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 in comparison with, to express your opinion, no, to give reasons. This is why, okay? I believe this because, okay? And also to talk about future, so will, would, okay? Conditionals also. You can have conditional questions. Now, what do you think might happen if, okay? So we need to also know the conditional well. And well, that's it. That would be whatever I wanted to present to you today. Again, I know that my students here are already familiarized with this, but for those watching at home on Facebook and everywhere else, I hope this was useful and you are now more prepared for the speaking. And of course, the rest is up to you. And let's not now go to some practice. Yes. Let me share with you again my screen, but this time with some practice that we have. I prepared, like I mentioned at the beginning, a part 2 and a part 3. Okay, so this is the part 2 that we'll be doing today. So you need to describe a toy that you liked in your childhood. Okay, what do we do if we don't remember? Invent, or think of someone else's toy that they may have mentioned, or I don't know, our child's toy if we have, and make it our own, right? So you don't need to be that desperate. Oh my God, I can't remember. No. Okay. What do you need to say? Well, of course, describe the toy, know what it was, where do you have it from, right? If you still have it, for example, what it looked like, and of course, why this was special to you when you were a child. Okay, so like in a real exam, I will now only give you 1 minute and to prepare this, to take some notes, and then we will do this. Okay, so Elena, Anna, and Andrea, please. So let's take 1 minute. Mm-hmm. 30 more seconds. All right, so that will be the time that we have. Would anyone like to start?
Yeah, I would like to start.
Anna, yes.
Just to finish quickly. I would
Okay.
like to talk about a toy I really liked in my childhood. It was a doll, a tall doll, which was dressed in white, a bright dress, and it had long blonde hair, which I really liked. I remember the doll was a gift from my auntie, and she gave the doll to me when I was 5 years old. It was, I think, the most memorable and nicest gift I received in my childhood. Also, because 30 years ago there wasn't so many toys as the children have today. I think we used to appreciate it more, the gift that we received from others. I remember I really liked to play every day with the doll when my other friends came to visit me, um, because it was the only doll that I had. I did take good care of it. And one day I decided that she needed new clothes, so I cut my mom's curtains and made some dresses. Um, a few years later, I thought that she can have some haircut as well. So I took the scissor and cut the doll's hair, which my mom wasn't very happy to hear about it. Um, I had a doll until 20 years old when I gave it to my niece because she really liked that doll. Um, I think it was a special toy, as I said, because it was the only one that I had, but also because it was very interesting and rare toy to have at that time.
Thank you very much, Anna. That was lovely according to the length and also according to the quality. So I noticed the good grammar. You had a nice speech flow. You had nice vocabulary. For example, you said memorable, rare, okay? And wide range of structures. Only one mistake that I could notice, a grammar one, but it's a very small one, so don't worry about it. I mean,
Oh, there weren't so many toys.
exactly, you can already see it because I know
Yeah.
you know. But again, it's not, don't, I mean, if you only have, one or two of these small mistakes, it's okay. They will, it's not like you won't pass because of this. Yeah, if you have a lot of them or if you lose your ideas, then yeah, that might be a problem. Okay, so yes, congrats. That's great.
Thank you.
I can really see your progress, but okay, that we will discuss in class. Okay.
Thank
Also,
you.
about for the writing, right? You've checked my feedback.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much.
That's really improved. So very good. Okay, this is
Thank
like
you.
an extra information, some extra information. Okay. Next, Andrea, maybe.
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't have so much choice in my childhood, but I would like to talk about a plush bear that I received from my auntie when I was a child. This bear is very important for me because it has a lot of memories. I received it when I had an operation, and after that, my auntie came to visit me to hospital, and she gave me. In that moment, I was just a child, and it was quite big. But now, because I grew up, it's not so big. I remember that is brown with a few dots white, has big ears and a small nose, which is black, really black. I used to have with me everywhere, to take with me everywhere. If I went in a visit to a friend or something, I used to take it with me. And even when I went to sleep, I used to have it as well. Um, I like this bear, and I still have it at home back in Romania. And for me, it's a treasure. It's very important. It remembers me all of difficult times that I passed through.
Okay, thank you very much, Andrea. So the speech was fine, the speech flow was fine, but I did notice some grammar mistakes that I will mention, okay? And that we need to focus on so that the evaluator do not penalize us for this criterion, okay? Or not as much. Okay, and the vocabulary was also fine, yeah? For example, a treasure and, okay? But you said she gave me instead of?
She gave me.
Yes, because it's past, yeah.
I
Then
don't
I
know
remember
why I
that is
failed.
brown, has big ears. You skip the it.
Yeah.
It is brown, it has big ears. Do not leave sentences in English without a subject, yeah?
Yeah.
And also here, I used to have with me everywhere. You skip the it. I used to have it, yeah?
Yeah.
So it, Yeah, all the time it. When you don't have a subject, it. And now at the end, you said it remembers me of my childhood, but it's actually remind. What's the difference between
Remind.
remember and remind? Because you know it.
Remember is present.
No, so I remember going there. It reminds me of my childhood.
I don't know how to explain.
Okay, so remember, it means that you actually remember something from your memory, no?
Yeah.
And something reminds you of something, they bring you back there.
Yes.
Yes, okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Elena, if you're here, are you here?
Yes, I am here.
Lovely.
All right. This time I would like to talk about a doll that I received when I was 5 years old. It was very special to me because at that time I only had average sized dolls, which were like 15 centimeters, but this one was a big doll, and that's why I really loved her. She had really beautiful medium red hair and very beautiful brown eyes. Um, and she was dressed in a blouse and trousers, which were actually knitted by hand, which to me felt very nice. I received it from my mother, and I still can remember that moment when I first saw this doll. It was during the night. My mother was uh, working the afternoon shift, if I remember well. So, because I was a small child, I went to sleep. But during the night, I woke up and the doll was right beside me. At that time, my mother worked in a care home for elderly people, and this is where she got that doll. So that is why it is special for me. Uh, she did not buy it; she just received it and then gave it to me uh, further. So this feels memorable. And also, it was very special to me because, as I said before, it was the most different out of all the toys I had. And I still have it to this day, this doll, and I still treasure it a lot.
Thank you very much. That was really good. Again, I have nothing to mention as a negative feedback. Just one tiny detail. Small child, you said when I was a small child versus little child. So when you are talking about the age, you say little child. When you're talking about the size, you will say small.
Oh,
okay, but again, this is very, it's not a big deal. The rest was really nice vocabulary. You had very good speech flow. You barely interrupted yourself. You spoke really naturally. Okay, that's
thank you
lovely.
so much.
Thank you. And now what I prepared for you, part 3. And as you know, part 3 is related to the topic we had in part 2. So now our questions in part 3 are related to this. Okay, we won't be doing all of them, don't worry, but we have I put them all here so you can see a nice example of what type of questions you may have. Okay, so let's choose some randomly. Anna, are you gone? Are you not here anymore? Okay, I think she's a little bit, she's not at the computer right now, so maybe Andrea, if you want. Andrea, I will ask you this question. How do the media attract the children towards toys?
Well, I think media has a big impact towards children because they have adverts everywhere, and as well they are doing advertising for shops with toys. So maybe they have a discount, and this
Okay,
attracts
only for shops with toys or also for specific toys?
for all the toys in the world, because it's not just a specific toy. Nowadays children, they are attracted to more I don't know, when I was a child I was looking for a Barbie doll, but now they are interested in robots which are quite advanced nowadays.
Okay, so yeah, so since technology has
Technology,
advanced,
yes.
toys also progress, right? They have progress.
Yes.
So okay, so they mainly attract them using advertising. Then how is
Yes.
this advertising? Where is it? Where can we see this? Where can children see this?
Mainly on the TV, because many of them, they are watching TVs, for example, cartoons.
Mhm. Yes, so
and on the internet as well.
on the internet, on social media, I suppose,
Yeah.
right? And the internet everywhere, commercials, correct. Okay, thank you. Anna, now that you're back, this is my question for you. Okay, do you think playing with electronic toys has a good influence on kids?
Well, it really depends on the toys, but I would say that it is a good influence, because the electronic toys can develop their creative skills. Also, some of the electronic toys can improve the speech. And also it's a way of interacting, even if they are toys, but they can learn to interact with them, especially with the toys that they can give answers back or ask questions. So yeah, overall I think they can have a good influence on kids.
Okay, very good. Just a few things I would like to mention. So you said that this develops the child's maybe we can say help develop. It helps develop the child's, okay? I don't remember now, but anyway, the ability or speech, okay? Then another point, when you need to think of what you want to say next and you are unsure, I mean, not that you are unsure, but you're trying to find your words and your ideas, try to avoid using that much right? Okay? Because this will be marked as not non-natural speech, as hesitation. A very nice way that you can use to buy yourself some time is to say something like, this is a very interesting question. I've never actually thought about this, but, and meanwhile, your brain, right? Ta-da-dum. So you can use this. Or, you know, why I mentioned this, because we all do it. I do it. Everyone does it. But why I mentioned it, because I heard it especially a lot of times for you in your case. So I was thinking that if you are aware of this, you can control it. Normally, the things that we are aware of, we can start controlling them, right? So you can just it's better just not to say anything, just take a 1-2 second break than to use that that will be marked as hesitation. Okay. Thank you. And Elena, this will be your question. Which do you think is better, for children to play with toys alone or with other kids?
I have to say that I haven't given this subject much thought before, but now that I consider it, I would say that both of these options look very beneficial to me. I think that children do need some time alone to learn on their own so that they can explore the world through toys. And have a wide range of these toys so that the information they get by playing themselves is wider. But on the other hand, I believe that it's indeed essential for them to play with other kids as well, so that they can learn to socialize, they can learn to share, which is one of the most important let's say skills that they have to acquire in their childhood. And also it can help develop their creative skills. So when they imagine, for example, a scenario that they follow using their toys to play with other children, they also develop their imagination, and I think that is really, really important.
Okay, thank you very much, Elena. That was great. That was lovely. So you had really nice flow, speech flow. You barely stopped, and when you did stop, you made it sound as if it's natural. What else I can say? I didn't notice any grammar mistakes, and I really appreciate and the evaluator really, because my feedback here is from the evaluator's point of view as much as possible. No, I think they will appreciate your vocabulary, because you used a lot of different words like acquire, skills. You try to avoid using the classical word, one of the most important, and I saw you stopped instead of saying things, because we all want to say things. Now you said skills. So I could really notice that you used a wide range of vocabulary and structures. You said, on the other hand, I haven't given this much thought, but so from the beginning to end, this was really good. Okay, so if you do this at the exam, you will have no problem, zero problems. Okay.
Oh, thank you so much.
You just need to focus on containing your emotion. You don't have any here. I'm saying possible emotions at the exam, yeah, so that you can keep this type of answer. So you'll be fine.
Yeah,
Okay,
but towards the end, I think I repeated really for two times.
You repeated really, and you repeated skills, but again, we have to look at the whole picture. Okay, I didn't say it was perfect. Perfect would be a 9. Perfect. I don't know if anyone has perfect speaking skills, even the native speakers, because now if I asked you these questions in Romanian and we were to answer in Romanian, would we be a 9? I don't think so, because I mean, right? Or not without preparation, because you would need to consider really answering with some fancy words, not just the classical, right? So I could notice, of course, some ideas, but for a 7, that's not something, okay, very relevant. Okay, so it was fine. It was really fine. No worries. Plus, combined with task 2 and task 1, because it's not only this. Yeah, I would say that's definitely a yes. Right. All right. So that would be what I prepared for you today. I would like to thank you very much for being here with me, and I hope that it was useful. Also, the information at the beginning that, again, I know you know here, but it's always useful to just hear what you could do to improve, or, you know, hear some of the criteria that they use to evaluate you, and the practice, of course, as always. So we'll see each other tonight. Yes, and thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
It was lovely. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
You too. Thank
You
you.
too.